What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video I am going to be ranking every single Marvel movie, that will be only movies, not the TV shows, from 24 to 1. So if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe, because it does help a lot. And yeah, let's just jump right into this. So as I said earlier, I'm only going to be ranking the Marvel movies. So even though WandaVision and Loki and Falcon the Winter Soldier are like in this list, not going to be ranking them in this list. They'll just be at they'll just stay at the bottom and won't be placed. So yeah, without further ado, let's just do this. So coming in at number 24, oh, I forgot to say, this will include Black Widow. Yeah, that's kind of the important bit. But yeah, anyways, coming in at number 24 is going to be Iron Man 2 for me. Now, I used to have Thor the Dark World in last place, but I've actually flip-flopped and gone for Iron Man 2. I mean, this was always my second least favorite film of the franchise, so I mean, it's just fallen down to the bottom. No real big change here, and the real difference is I might as well place this one. Thor Dark World is in 23rd. The big difference here is Loki. Loki elevates Thor Dark World just a little bit better than Iron Man 2. They're both mediocre films. I feel like Iron Man 2 has just way too much stuff going on, and Thor the Dark World, just like the plot doesn't make any sense at all. So they have different problems, but I feel like they're kind of similar, though Loki's just so entertaining on screen that like I have to give him the edge here. And Thor Dark World's coming in at number 23. Okay, number 22 is going to be the Incredible Hulk. I mean, this is like maybe the most forgettable MCU film, just because it doesn't even tie in with anything. It's like really more disconnected than even Iron Man 3 is. So like for that, it's just coming in at 22, just because it doesn't fit into like the whole narrative story. Even though Abomination is coming back, and we already saw Thaddeus Ross come back several times already, but like still, you've got a different Bruce Banner here. And it's just like the tone feels way different. It's also the only one that Universal Studios produced. So like yeah, the tone feels way different than the whole other MCU, and it just like doesn't fit in. So for that, it's at number 22. Okay, number 21 is going to be Iron Man 3. So as said earlier, this film doesn't really connect with the continuity, and that's really my biggest problem with it. So first of all, Tony Stark blows up all his suits in this movie, and then in his next appearance, he shows up with a brand new suit. Like, oh, all right, and he threw away his arc reactor. It's like he quit being Iron Man, and then in Age of Ultron, nope, he's full force being Iron Man. Yeah, so that doesn't really make much sense. I also don't like the Mandarin twist at all. I would have felt like it would just been way better to just stick with a regular Mandarin, especially since the person who was actually revealed to be another fake Mandarin, because we know that the real Mandarin's showing up in Shang-Chi, but yeah, another fake Mandarin, Aldous Killian, like was not interesting in the slightest. So for that, Iron Man 3 is going to come in at number 1, and at number 20, I'm going to go with Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel has a lot of maybe just like First Avenger vibes for me as an origin story in the past, but like it's really just bland. It's just a bland Marvel movie. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's like really, I don't like, it's kind of boring for me. Like in my second watching, I couldn't even get through it because like I just got so bored watching it. But yeah, I mean, like I like the performances. You know, Nick Fury was like absolutely amazing. Like, good lord, man, the aging technology was absolutely amazing. But you know, it's also not a good sign when your main character isn't the most important, or the character that people love the most. It was Nick Fury, and also I feel like Talos was a more interesting character than Captain Marvel. And I just feel like Captain Marvel was a little bit bland. She really didn't have a character arc, and she really, like, she's been trained not to feel emotions. So like, how are we supposed to resonate with her? Okay, so coming in at number 19, this might be a surprise to some of you, but I'm going to place Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 here, not Volume 1. Let me just be clear, it's Volume 2. So I don't really, like, I don't know, I don't like Guardians Volume 2 as much as, you know, other people do, which I see some people saying that this one's even better than the first one, which I'm just like, what? But yeah, anyways, like I felt like the villains were just really boring, you know, those golden people. very boring. The people on Yondu's ship, I mean, we got some good laughs out of them, I suppose, and then, yeah, and then Ego was just, like, not even a villain until the third act, so that was interesting. Also, I feel like it's way over the top with the humor, and like the family themes really just don't resonate with me too well. But you know, it's a solid movie. I'd say like anything from Displacement number 19 and forward are like really, I'd say, movies that I'd want to watch. It's just like the worst one out of those, if you like know what I mean. But anyways, yeah. So coming in at number 18 is going to be Thor. So Thor was like one of these franchises was just like so like mediocre. I mean, it was definitely the worst Marvel franchise until they got Thor Ragnarok going in there, and then like became like, oh wow, Thor can be like really funny. But yeah, this first Thor movie, I mean, it did a good job establishing the characters to us. It also did nice world building for Asgard. But I feel like there were like multiple tonal shifts. Like, I don't know, everyone was very serious on Asgard, and then when they came to Earth, it was just like all jokes and laughs about. So I don't know what's up there. Also like Loki, like I liked Loki a lot, you know, in this one, but like his plans didn't really have that high of a stakes. You know, it was just like, oh, he's gonna be king, like he'll ascend to the throne just naturally. It's not like, you know, he's gonna take over the whole Earth or anything like that. So yeah, Loki was a little bit laid down for me, but like overall, this was a really good movie. It's just like, you know, all the other movies in the MCU are so good. So yeah, coming in at 17 is going to be Doctor Strange for me. This is basically a rehash of Iron Man with magic. It's basically what it is. I mean, Doctor Strange and Tony Stark are very similar characters in that, you know, they're like very unlikable. I feel like the pacing was really weird because like we don't know how much time passed in that middle act, because like, you know, he's like really new to sorcery at one point, and then like 1 minute later he's like super good at sorcery, and it's just like, wait, what happened in between there? Like he showed us like 1 or 2 training clips and that's it. And I'm guessing like a few months passed, but like, well, I probably should have saw more of that, not gonna lie. Also, I felt like the villains were very boring. Felt like Dormammu was just like, I mean, I liked how he defeated Dormammu, but it was just like, oh, generic, like end of the world big bad guy. Also, I didn't like his followers. I also didn't like the love interest in this. I mean, it was her only appearance once, and like, could you even really call it a love interest, to be honest? So yeah, it goes at number 17. So number 16 for me is going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp. So this movie is a very small stakes movie compared to its predecessor, which is Infinity War. You know, like the biggest stakes movie of Marvel, at that point at least. And yeah, this is just basically a heist. Like multiple parties going for a suitcase. That's basically, well, it isn't a suitcase, it's a building, like, but like still. So, yeah, but like this just is a very enjoyable film, very likable characters in this film. I didn't like the black market dealer guy. I mean, I felt like he was a little bit over the top and really didn't work too well in the movie. Also, Ghost, like why doesn't the guy just ask Hank Pym for help? Like, you know, the girl's dying. Like, just ask him for help. Good lord. But yeah, so that really didn't make sense to me at all. Also, Janet Van Dyne is just like, oh, I got magical healing powers that can heal our ghost friend. Yay. So yeah, that all felt a little bit too convenient for me. But like, you know, Luis in this movie, man, it's just like, I mean, I felt like he got a little less, I don't know, but like, you know, he still went on that big tangent of, you know, the Luis tangent, and he was just enjoyable in this movie as always. You know, he was enjoyable in the first Ant-Man movie, and Paul Rudd just played this character amazingly. So it goes in at number 16 for me. Okay, number 15, I'm gonna put the first Ant-Man movie. These two films are very similar to me. In that they're basically just low-stake movies. Like, the first Ant-Man movie is basically just stopping a weapons dealer from creating a suit, which is, I mean, kind of like Iron Man. Not gonna lie, the villain is kind of like Obadiah Stane, and except that I feel like he's a little like he's worse than Obadiah Stane, obviously, because I mean he's basically just a copy of Obadiah Stane. But as said earlier, Luis is in this movie, just makes everything better. But like still, why doesn't Hank Pym give the suit to Hope? Like, I know they try to explain it away, but like it still doesn't make sense to me. Like, you got a super qualified person over here. You know, if you just trust her a little bit more, maybe you still have your company, and then like this whole movie wouldn't have happened. So I don't get that. I don't get that. It's supposed to just, you know, classic bad Marvel parenting and all that stuff. So coming in at number 12, or not number 12, number 14. Is going to be Avengers Age of Ultron. I might have this movie a little bit higher than most people, but I feel like 14 is a good spot for it, you know, kind of middle in the pack. So this movie is just like, they were just trying to set up too many things. They were trying to set up Infinity War. I mean, they set up Black Panther. They set up Civil War. It's just like, all of these different setups. And, you know, there were movies that had even more setups, like Captain America Civil War. But I feel like the direction that Joss Whedon took here was not as good as the direction that the Russo brothers took with that film. So, yeah, and it's just like, feels like Iron Man just beats up everyone. You know, it's just obviously he can beat up the Hulk. He's just get a new suit of armor. He can beat up the Hulk. So yes, I don't understand why Iron Man is just like OP, man. He like destroys Ultron with ease. Like what is that? And then it's just like, oh, round 2 of Ultron, round 3 of Ultron, because he can make infinite duplicates of himself. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with Ultron per se, but he felt like another copy of Tony Stark, which, you know, we've got way too many of those in this universe so far. So yeah, that goes at number 14, and number 13. You know, I'll put Captain America: The First Avenger at number 13. I might be a little bit higher on this film than most people, but I really like this film. So Captain America: The First Avenger, like, I rewatched this film over and over when it first came out. And yeah, I especially love like the first hour, or like the start of the movie. I don't know, the back end of the movie where it just like shows a montage of World War II. Like, you know, we might have could have added like another like 30 minutes just to just show, like, you know, not just a montage, to actually show him going missions in World War II. But that was fine. I thought like a Red Skull was a good villain. He was a good villain. Also, you know, as pointed out in the deleted scene in Avengers Endgame, the sacrifice really doesn't make that much sense, but like obviously you knew that it was coming because he was gonna show up in the Avengers. You knew that, oh, he has to end up in the Avengers somehow. I mean, Avengers is literally in the title of the name, so yeah. But I feel like the first hour or so really sets up this, and even the whole movie really sets up this relationship between Steve and Bucky that will like spread up throughout the whole Infinity Saga, and really is the catalyst for all the bad things that happen, if you really think about it. Because without Steve and Bucky, there might not have been like that decisive of a split in Civil War, which means that they probably wouldn't have lost in Avengers Infinity War, which means that there wouldn't even have been a time heist. So yeah, that, like, this movie sets up a lot of important stuff going forward, and I don't know, I just feel like it's a really solid movie. So moving into the top half, number 12. Okay, I'm gonna have Spiderman Far From Home. Again, might have this movie a little bit higher than most, but I mean, I like this movie. I like this movie a lot. I feel like it's, you know, it's also really reminiscent to the first Spider-Man movie, and like it's just a teen drama. Like, it's a teen drama first, but also has the superhero stuff added on second. I really like the twist, and at the end where Nick Fury and Maria Hill were like revealed to be Skrulls. I feel like that was pretty clever, and also like they dropped hints throughout the movie that was the case. Also, I like Mysterio, though the plot is a little bit bonkers. Like, also, like, why does Spider-Man always have like why does school always have so many field trips? Like what's going on? Why can't my school have that many field trips? But yeah, the plot's a little bit bonkers. Like why wouldn't Tony just give the glasses to Rhodey? Like or Cap, you know, or Cap. Well, I mean, because he didn't know that Cap would stay back in time, you know, or Thor for that matter. Or actually, Thor probably wouldn't have been that good of a candidate considering that he was, you know, all depressed back then. But like, there are many. Oh, there were like so many better candidates for the glasses than Peter Parker, so it really doesn't make sense, especially considering that, you know, he's still a kid and he recently died, so like you gotta take that into account, right, Tony? Also, you know, we've got another villain who's mad at the world because of Tony Stark, because of something that Tony Stark did. Or not even just another villain, just another character, basically. I mean, I feel like the whole world is mad at Tony Stark after the events of Age of Ultron. So, yeah, you really like really polarizing character there, hey, Tony Stark. Which brings us to our next movie, Iron Man. I feel like I have this way lower than most people, but I mean, Iron Man is a movie that is a great kickoff to the MCU, but I feel like most people rate it so highly because they're nostalgic, like for the good times, you know, when the MCU was just kicking off, and then you just got this solo film that just exploded this whole universe. And then I also feel like some people use the argument like, well, it was the first one, so obviously it's the best, which is like that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, don't do that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, Iron Man's a good film for me. It just doesn't hold up for like the other movies in the MCU, and like some of the movies that use the template of Iron Man, which would go on to be like the just normal solo superhero template, ended up being better than Iron Man. So I feel like it was a really good kickoff to the story, but all in all, it really isn't one of the top 10 best, you know? So we're moving into our top 10, and here is where I am going to place Black Widow. So, Black Widow, few things. First of all, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. You have been warned. So, Black Widow, I mean, first off, Yelena Belova was just absolutely hilarious and was also really emotional in the scenes that she needed to be in. Like, that casting and portrayal of the character was just absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I also liked the Red Guardian, and his role in the movie. He's also a very funny character, and I feel like those two characters really just took over the film for me, which is a problem when, you know, Black Widow is the main character, and you've got her two side characters who are basically just the you got the sidekick character and the comic relief character, basically just taking over the movie. But like, I really like this movie. It finally gives respect to Black Widow, who's been like a part of this since the start, and finally gets her own solo movie. You know, still better than Hawkeye though. He only gets a TV show, so yeah, great job. Also, I feel like Melinda, I think that's her name, the mother's turnaround from, you know, big Red Room supporter to this family supporter was really quick. But but you know, that might be explained in a further like movie or something like that. But I really liked the family dynamic in Black Widow, and really good themes. But like that opening scene, man, where it's just like you see this family and they look so legit, but then yeah, no, it's fake, and then they get revealed to be a fake family of Russian sleeper cells, I think it was. And then, I mean, Natasha doesn't even consider them a family before the events of this movie, as stated in Avengers Endgame. But then they just come together, finally learn to actually be a real family, and like that's just really a great message for this movie. But okay, at number 9 now, see, this is tough because all of these movies are really good, but I am going to have Spider-Man Homecoming at number 9. So, as stated earlier, Spider-Man Homecoming is really just like a teen story first, but then also has, you know, that superhero stuff added on after. But it like really works. It also like doesn't tell Peter Parker's origin story, which is like something that we've seen way too many times, and I'm really glad that they like went astray from that route. Instead, it saves a lot of runtime for you to actually tell like your story, not just the basic Peter Parker origin story. They basically just explain it in all of one line. And like, I mean, there have already been 2 Peter Parker live action origin stories, so like, you should know it by now. Like, if you're a fan of the character, you should know the Peter Parker origin story. And also it's Marvel, so like, after he appeared in Civil War, they were just like, yeah, people know who this character is. All right, let's just take this full and run with it. I really liked the reveal that Toomes was Liz's dad, and it like makes so many, like, it just makes so much sense. And like, so first you see Toomes, he was just like, hey, yeah, I got a kid at home, she drew this, and it's just like, okay, like that won't be relevant at all. It's just like, he's a family man, that's what it's supposed to represent. And then you see Liz's big house, and then she's rich, who cares? And then you see the pieces come together, like, oh, her dad is rich because her dad is Toomes, and she is the kid who drew the picture. And then, Toomes is rich because he's doing this illegal black market, like, super-powered weapon stuff. So it, like, all fits together. Also, I really like how Peter Parker at the end still tried to save Toomes even after all that he did. It's just really on point for Spider-Man. So, number 8, I have Thor Ragnarok. This movie is really funny, like, absolutely hilarious. Though I feel like the humor sometimes undercuts like the drama of the film, and that's like really my biggest complaint of the film. It's too funny in a way, like, because you gotta balance the humor with the serious stuff, and this film just really didn't do it. It was like way too one-sided on the humor. That being said, though, Hela was a great villain. Also, like, Surtur came back from the opening scene to have a huge, he was like, okay, this is just like getting to know Thor, a big action scene at the start. Nope, he came back in a huge way at the end, and they destroyed Asgard. I mean, like, that's basically just like in Winter Soldier when they destroyed S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, they destroyed Asgard? What? Yeah. So, but also, like, I feel like even all those dramatic moments are just undercut by the humor. So, it's a really good movie, but a little bit too funny. Okay, number 7 is Avengers Endgame. Again, I could have this movie at too low. I see some people saying it's the best Marvel movie. I'm just like, no, it's not. Like, stop kidding yourself. No, it is not. It's a great spectacle and all. It's the best event that Marvel's ever hosted in a movie, but it's not the best like made movie, mostly because it's just, well, first of all, it's way too long. The pacing is like really drawn out because it's way too long. And like, after the snap, they go and kill Thanos, and then 5 years later, alright, and then we got a bunch of slow scenes of them discovering time travel, and then it just rapidly picks back up in the time travel, where it's just, okay, a bunch of action scenes, and like the time heist, and then right after that you get a little break, and then, okay, another bunch of action scenes in the final battle. Now that being said, the final battle was the best final battle of any Marvel movie. I feel like I could say that, yeah. I mean, I also kind of feel like that isn't a question. Like, it is the best final battle in any Marvel movie, or at least any MCU movie. But yeah, I feel like this movie was more spectacle than anything else, and it really, like, doesn't really tell a cohesive story as well as these other movies that are ahead of it, and for that reason, it comes at number 7. Okay, number 6 is going to be Black Panther. I really like the themes in this movie. The problem, like, this is a Marvel movie. How come the CGI at the end is so bad? Like, what was that? Like, that final battle, man. Like, what was that? Like, come on, you had like such a strong movie in the first 2 acts, and in the third act you just whip out this, like, T'Challa versus Killmonger CGI fight scene that, like, oh god, man, what the hell was that? Like, come on, like, this is Marvel we're talking about. The CGI can be better than that, right? But that being said, like, the whole story and the whole themes and everything like that were just absolutely amazing. The only thing taking it back is that, obviously, the CGI in the final fight, which, does take it back to 6th place. Otherwise, it might even be in, like, the top 4. So, yeah, okay, coming in at number 5 is going to be the First Avengers. This is the movie that brought it all together. This is the movie that, like, basically showed that, yes, this idea can work, because before this movie, like, no one's really done, like, a big cinematic team-up universe before. But, like, Joss Whedon and Marvel Studios proved that, yeah, you can do it. And the Avengers was just so good. Loki was like just such an amazing villain. Oh god! And we get to see our first glimpse of Thanos, who obviously comes back in a pretty big way later down the road. Even though it's 7 years later, it still happens. But yeah. Also, I feel like that final fight scene, even though it's not as good as the Avengers Endgame one, like, it's still very entertaining to watch all the Avengers beating up the Chitauri, knowing that they are, like, outmatched, like 1,000 to 1 maybe, or something like that. But they don't care, and they still pulled through in the end, and we get to see Tony Stark prove Captain America wrong at the end, with him sacrificing himself with the nuke. I don't know. I have a feeling that he thought that he would be able to do it, but I mean, there was like a sliver. There must have been a sliver of doubt in his mind. It's just like, oh crap, I might not make it out of this, but he still did it anyways, and he proved Captain America wrong. Also, the clips were amazing, and like the banter on the helicarrier, yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, so coming in at number 4 for me is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. So this was just really like maybe like the first movie in a shift of the Marvel movies, where they just became like increasingly funny. I mean, you got Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, also a pretty funny film. And then also Thor Ragnarok, which is, a very funny film, to its own faults. And both Spiderman films will give you a good laugh. And also, both Ant-Man films are just like, oh yeah. But yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy was just like, it's just like when you're walking to the theater, you're just like, wait, who are these guys? Like, who? But yeah, like the Guardians of the Galaxy just like absolutely worked. It was just like it was really unexpected, but absolutely worked. And I feel like Ronan was a good villain. He wasn't like an all-time great villain, but he was a good villain, and his plan made sense. Like, I feel like some of these other villains, just like their plans don't make sense, but his plan made sense, so that's always a good sign. I feel like he was a little bit bland, but like when all of the other characters are just like such like screen stealers, I mean, it doesn't really matter if your villain is bland, right? Okay, so coming in at number 3 is going to be Avengers Infinity War. This kind of suffers the same problem as Avengers Endgame, where there's just like too much stuff going on. Too many characters. Obviously, they needed to do it to tell like this humongous story, and the story was great, and it's ranked at number 3 ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy and the First Avengers. So like this is a really good movie. It's a great movie even. But like I feel like all of these plot lines running around, and even though the Russo brothers juggled them really well, it still can get a little mixed, and like the pacing can feel weird because you got all of these different plot lines running around. But that being said, the action here was amazing. The dialogue was amazing. Like the story, the plot was absolutely amazing. Thanos, man. Like this version of Thanos, maybe the best movie villain ever. Like, I don't know. I gotta say it. And also, it's really interesting because I feel like Thanos is the main character of this movie, which is kind of what's it called? The Half-Blood Prince. Where like Harry's still the main villain, or not the main villain, the main character, but you get a lot of backstory on Voldemort, at least in the book, not the movie. The movie stank. But yeah. So Avengers Infinity War is just absolutely blew me away, and it comes in at number 3, and then number 2 is going to be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I feel like everyone has this movie in their top 2, and for good reason. I mean, like this movie, the spy movie, and then also, like, they just destroyed S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, that was really unexpected. Like, what? It was just like, what? But S.H.I.E.L.D's been like this constant presence throughout all the movies, and no, you're gone. Yeah, you're gone, man. And like the reveal that they were Hydra all along, also calling back some of the moments from the first Avenger was absolutely amazing. Also, Steve and Bucky's story continues along. That was good. Also, Black Widow was really entertaining in this movie, as well as Nick Fury. Nick Fury was really good in this movie. So Winter Soldier comes in at number 2. But at number 1 for me, I know a lot of people disagree with this, but it is Captain America Civil War. For this movie to do what it does and also still tell a really compelling story and a really cohesive story is just absolutely amazing. I mean, it's setting up so many films. It's basically just fixing kind of Age of Ultron, setting up Black Panther, setting up Spider-Man, setting up Avengers Infinity War. It's just like, it does it all. Like, and then also, like, it does, oh yeah, it also sets up Ant-Man too. But yeah, like, it does it all, and then it also does it all, but it's like able to, like, I don't know, tell a cohesive story between Captain America, you know, the title character, and also Bucky and Tony Stark. So you got like this plot line going throughout the movie of this friendship and this friendship, you know, Cap and Bucky and Cap and Tony, and then one splits up and one grows closer, and all that stuff. I also feel like Zemo was an amazing villain, kind of like the Joker in The Dark Knight. Obviously, he's not as good of a villain as the Joker. I mean, like, obviously, but I feel like he still was a really good villain. Also, the airport scene, man, absolutely fantastic. And that final fight, you know, like, a lot less characters, but still very impactful, very meaningful. And this movie, in particular, is why the Avengers lose in Infinity War. So yeah, for me, it ranks at number 1. But anyways, that is going to do for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you guys did, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Too easy!